Well, it seems like I got my predictions spot on for this game. For some reason, I felt like it was set to be 2-2 because I saw both teams cancelling each other out. There were some pros, there were some cons in this game, and I have to explain my energy for this review. My friends, look at the league table. You know, we're 16 points off a top 4 spot. The only thing we have left is a cup run in the FA Cup. That's the last remaining hope I have. I've given up in the league a long time ago, so I'm not going to just use these reviews to be super negative for the point of doing that, because I think we've all realised that we are far off from being a serious team that is ready to do anything in the league right now. But in the context of this game, it doesn't mean that we can't discuss certain pros, but I was also discussing the cons, because in terms of pros, you're looking at Malo Gusto. My lord, what a player this guy is. Maybe I'm being exaggerative, but I felt like it's one of the best individual performances I've seen this season from any player, because without Malo Gusto, we aren't in this game. He was single-handedly bringing that threat. His crosses, his delivery, incredible. Some of the skills and moments with his quick feet, no-look passes, how he's drifting infield and outfield. When I look at Malo Gusto, essentially, the guy is like a winger. He is a winger with the added benefit that he is exceptional defensively. And it's these types of players that you secure to improve your team, because these are two-way players that we need more of, which we don't have enough of. But he was a massive pro in this game today. Superb cross to find Nico Jackson. And this is what I mean. There are pros here, but I'm not going to dismiss and ignore just because I'm feeling in my feelings. I've accepted where we are right now, my friends. But I'd have to say it was definitely a game of two halves. We did some good things, especially in that first half. But in the second half, I think the reason why we dropped off is because the energy levels depleted. We know most of these guys have been playing 90 minutes week in, week out. Could Pochettino have preempted this at the start of the second half and brought in some subs? Because I think one of the biggest players who was feeling that energy loss was Enzo Fernandez. And when you have a player that can't really be involved on the ball and is definitely not involved off the ball, you're essentially playing with 10 men. And I just felt like there was a 10-minute period where Brentford's pressure in that second half was growing. Brentford decided, you know what, we're going to push our lines up. We're going to pose some questions to Chelsea. We're going to put more men inside the box. We're going to do what we do best. We're going to put balls in dangerous areas in the far post. And we're going to see if this Chelsea team have any answers to the questions we're posing. And we definitely don't. So when you have a player in Enzo that isn't able to be involved, for me, we were playing with 10 men at the start of that second half. And it's no surprise that once he finally came off, we ended the second half a lot stronger, with more energy, making more chances, and having a bit more control again. So, you know what? I know it's difficult because as a manager, you can't control every single aspect minute by minute, right? Hence why Poch did the best he could do, setting us up in a back three system, controlling the counter-attacks in Brentford as best we could, having bodies in the box to deal with their aerial threat as well too. But I just kind of feel like maybe this is why I have this energy towards Pochettino. Sometimes your management has to be better in game at times. And I just felt like maybe I'm being too critical, but when you could see the energy had dropped off, when you could see that Brentford were growing more confident, flooding more men forward, that should have been a moment in your head where you're thinking, I need to control this game quickly, because knowing how the season's been going, I know exactly what's set to come. And it was a period of domination at the start of the second half for 25 minutes from Brentford, where not only did they get 2 goals in that period, of course, scoring from Roerslev, disappointing. No one in the team took control in that situation. The ball's bouncing around for fun, but it's Brentford who on the end of that taking advantage. And obviously the second goal coming from Wissa, again, another cross from the right-hand side. Is it any surprise that both of the moments they produce came from our left-hand side, because essentially it was Cole and Ben with no support or protection in front of them from the midfield because Enzo was tired. So this is why I'm going to have these criticisms, because I feel like if we had controlled that period when it really matters, could we have got something different in this game? Obviously, I think one of the big moments too was even before Brentford made it 2-1, Cole Palmer had an amazing opportunity. It's a counter-attack, 4v1, Malo Gusto again. No, was it Malo Gusto? I think it was Conor Gallagher or someone who plays across, back into the opposite half. And the ball's coming onto Cole Palmer's strongest foot. He's unmarked. And I was thinking to myself, Cole, that had to be on target in that moment, because if we had got that goal then, these change the dynamics, the game's right, and who knows what happens after that period. But, I have to say, again, we did react, we did come back. As we started to get more control in that second half, you could start to see what was happening. I have to say again, great play by Malo Gusto in that moment before Disasi made it 2-2. Malo Gusto lost the ball, but again, it sums up his incredible performance today. He wins that back with superb slide tackle, which forces the corner moment. And then that whole passage of play then leads to Cole Palmer putting a ball at the far post, and Disasi is there with his head to get on top of things. And after that moment, you think to yourself, if only there was like another 20 minutes to play, because I feel like if there was a bit more time, do we get something? We were sneaking things in, of course. Raheem Sterling wasn't able to find Mudryk. I felt like the pass wasn't for Sterling, though. I felt like it was for Mudryk. And I do feel like, in terms of Raheem Sterling, the confidence ain't there. Now, on one hand, I'm not one of those guys that ever agrees upon booing your own players. Personally, I think it's one of the stupidest things you can do, considering the fact that you need all your guys to perform, right? So if you're going to create even more pressure on these guys, you can't be surprised if they play within themselves, if they don't do the right actions, and if they mess up. So it just is counterproductive. I get it, we're frustrated, but show your frustration in other ways. And I felt like it was right for Pochettino to come out and be like, I'm a bit surprised by the boos that Sterling's getting, but you know what? I'm not too surprised, because I've been saying this for a long time. I could kind of see where Sterling's career was headed. I don't think he was personally the right player we needed. He shouldn't be our highest earning player at all. I feel like what really makes him shine, our football, and what we need isn't producing that. And you don't give wages to Raheem Sterling, who's essentially a squad player in a big team, and then you're giving him money which shows that he's like one of the big boys in the team, that is the decision maker, the decisive factor, that is going to be the match winner, because he's never been that player. I've been saying for years, Raheem Sterling peaked like 4 years ago, and his best moments come in moments. Even that final season before he left Man City, he got I think 12 or something goals, but most of those goals were braces that came in periods of time. It wasn't sustained quality over time. So it was the complete wrong move to make to begin with. And the reason why I'm going through this long-winded answer is because I could tell eventually there was going to be frustration. I think it's misguided how it's being applied, but I'm not saying that it's a negative to not feel the frustration, because listen, I feel it, we all feel it, right? But that's what it comes down to, sadly. But, there were some good things. I think the thing I really liked about this game is one of the rarest times this season where we've seen Pochettino, field a lineup, field a team that was prepared to minimize and pose questions to the opposition, because Brentford didn't do much in that first half. And I looked at the tactical stuff, because you guys know I'm a nerd. I'm looking at our positioning. I'm seeing our back three spread. I'm seeing how we controlled Ivan Toney, which we did today. The only sad thing is that we forgot that Brentford have other threats than just Ivan Toney himself. But in that first half, we were able to have bodies between the lines. I saw the positioning of our midfield guys who were staying on the outside of Brentford's midfield. We're creating 1v1 moments for our wing backs out wide too. No surprise why Malo Gusto was phenomenal in that first half. And we made those moments. Yes, Nico Jackson missed a few. The big fumble with his feet on the counter attack. Sloppy. Again, he missed another chance, but he took too many touches rounding the goalkeeper. But I just thought to myself, you know what? I don't want to get too mad with it, because on one hand, I see that Nico is tired. He's our only striker right now. You look back and you think, to let Broja go to Fulham, he's doing nothing right now. But we probably need another striker to help with fatigue issues, right? It's a bit crazy in hindsight. Constantly we're making the wrong moves in hindsight when you look back. But I still believe in this guy, because I just feel like over time, he will really benefit when he's 25, 26 from a season like this. And I was really happy that he scored that first goal. Again, superb cross by Mr. Malo Gusto. And obviously, Nico Jackson, one of the biggest weaknesses this season has been his heading ability. But, you're seeing little improvements on that. And it's quite obvious to me that this is something Nico is working upon behind the scenes in training. And it's sad that there's so much pressure applied on these guys, because listen, we are underperforming regardless of what anyone says or how young this team is. And you guys might not like what I'm about to say, but I'm sorry. In the 1920 season, we had even more inexperienced guys, because most of our team consisted of guys who just stepped up from the championship, for God's sake. Not guys that we bought for mega millions that was playing a lot of football in top divisions across the world. Yet they were a lot better than what we're seeing in this team right now. But at the same time, going back to Nico Jackson, it's a shame that there's so much pressure on us. But if you forget the pressure, you can see the little improvements are coming, you know, in terms of what he's doing with his overall game. And a game like this where things weren't going his way, but he got a goal from this, that is an improvement in my opinion. I think he can continue to improve. He has no left foot at all. He doesn't take any shots there, doesn't generate power. He must work on that. But this stuff doesn't happen in the space of a week or two. It happens over seasons. So I think in terms of Nico Jackson, let's keep patience for him because, you know, there is a player in this guy. But it's just a shame that as a team, we aren't really prepared, in my opinion. And this is the overarching issue I'm seeing with our recent games. We aren't a good enough team that is able to deal with reactions of the opposition. I think we all know this right now. And, you know, I was making this point after that cup final defeat against Liverpool. But, you know, I felt like we lost that game to Liverpool because they posed questions. They stuck to their guns. They played the football they know. This is the only thing they could have done. Whereas if we were in that same situation as Liverpool, for example, in that cup final, we play within ourselves, we play more defensively, we play more counter-attacking, and we give more confidence to the opposition. Liverpool showed you what you need to do, yeah? And they posed questions, and in the end, they got something from that. And I just feel like when teams apply the pressure, because let's be serious, Brentford were going to react tactically after that first half because they were completely surprised by us using a back three. I think all of us were. But this is the Premier League. These are top level managers. These are top class teams. Yeah, they're going to react in that second half. And it's just a shame that I feel like in these moments, is Pochettino reacting quickly enough against the opposition manager? Like, did he really need what? When did he score the goal? Was like in the 55th minute or 50th minute or whatever? Did you need that much time before you decided to react then to take off Enzo Fernandez? Did you really need that much time? And I feel like, you know, in a season like this where you can't fully rely upon player quality to save your ass all the time, you know, it does mean that the responsibility gets shared a lot more evenly, in my opinion. So it does mean that Pochettino, to salvage things, needs to work overtime. And I just felt like there was that 10-15 minute period where if he made a sub to react to the pressure from Brentford, something could have happened. And, you know, it's my personal frustration from this game because we did enough to win this. We showed some good moments, but when we lose control, my God, do we really lose control? We really struggle. And it's funny because we used the back three setup to cope with the aerial threat, the balls into the box. And ultimately, that's the thing that cost us because we were caught too deep. And it reminded me of our game against Luton Town, where in the final 50 minutes, you know, to this day, that Luton game, second half, that is the most pressure I've seen from any team we've played against this whole season, because they could have won that game in that 15-minute period. And the fact that we haven't seen an improvement from that in terms of how to cope in these situations, I feel like this is where I have to be critical of Pochettino, even though the approach in this game, the way he set us up and the ideas and thinking were correct. But in this game, yeah, how many players will produce a bad moment or take responsibility? And maybe the manager gets saved in those moments, but it's one of those seasons where everything gets exposed if even the tiniest detail is not managed. And for me, you'd like to think that we're going to see more improvements behind the details. But my friends, that's everything I have to say about this game today. All we have left is the FA Cup, so fingers crossed we can at least restore some goddamn pride. But my friends, I'm the EFC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll see you guys tomorrow with some more videos.